create images in the minds of others with words. Now, I want to show you another kind of image creating that's a vital part of thinking big. Learn this skill well. Make it one of your primary success tools. The skill is simply this: learn to see what can be, not just what is. Big thinkers, all big thinkers, train themselves to see the potential in people and things and ideas, not just what exists right now. I have a friend who is a highly successful realtor. He specializes in rural property, and I'd like to take you on a brief outing with him to hear what he has to say about seeing the potential in things.
This is about 450 acres, kind of hilly as you can see. Scruffy undergrowth, little skimpy secondary growth trees. Not exactly farm beautiful, is it? You know, most of the rural property around here is pretty run down like this. But I think I'm successful because I developed my entire sales plan around what this place can be. Now let me show you what I've done with this farm. I've spent 2 days just studying it and trying to imagine what it could be. Here we have 85 acres of bottomland, we got 115 acres of woods, about 200 acres of pasture, and we're 45 minutes from town, about a stone's throw from the freeway, and 35 miles from the airport. Well, I've asked myself, what's this farm good for? Well, here's one possibility. Here, this is a plan for a horse riding stable. I've got it all typed up here, you see. As you can see, we've got all the right ingredients. Rapidly growing city nearby. You can hear the construction from here. Lots of new families moving in. I mean, it's built and designed for families around here. Here's a report that states that the outdoor activities are the fastest growing recreational form that there is right now. You've got good pasture and some nice hills, and they're not too steep, right? You can support lots of horses right here. Grow your own barley, your own wheat and grain. That way, all of the revenue produced in this property stays right here for the profit of the buyer. With a minimal amount of landscaping, you can put in some trails, run them over the hills, down to the river. I mean, can't you see people riding their horses over the top of that hill, back up through the gorge? You see, this way, when I talk to prospects, I don't have to convince them that this place is a good buy just as it is. I can help them actually see it turned into a money-making venture. That has added bonuses too. I can sell more farms and sell them faster this way, and on top of that I can sell them usually for more money than my competitors, because they're not just buying a farm, they're buying a farm and an idea.
Once again, the moral to this true story is this: look at things not as they are, but as they can be. Visualization, you see, adds value to everything. A big thinker always visualizes what can be done in the future and doesn't limit himself to the present. And always remember, this principle doesn't just apply to things. It applies to people as well. If you can see the potential in a customer who comes into your store and spends, say, $5, then you create the possibility that the customer will come back again, and next time spend $500. If you drive through Skid Row and see just a bunch of broken down stumblebums and winos, then you're not thinking big. There are a few devoted individuals who can see in those Skid Row residents a lot of human potential. And because they can see this potential, those few people are able to help a lot of those unfortunate people get back on their feet. The best teachers are the ones who see Jimmy not as a little troublemaker who talks too much, but as an energetic, bright kid who needs a special challenge to get motivated. This teacher isn't seeing Jimmy as he is, but as Jimmy can be. Now, turn this idea inward and look at yourself. What about your own potential, your own worth? If you were to go in for salary negotiations with your boss tomorrow, how would you present yourself? Would you see yourself exactly as you are today? Or would you see the potential you have to offer, the executive you can be in 2 years, or the sales you can bring in over the next 5 years? Are you looking at yourself only in the present, or do you see yourself as the person you can be at some point in the future? The way to develop the power to see what can be, not just what is to practice adding value to things, people, and ideas. Now here are some exercises that will help you do this.
First, practice adding value to things. Remember the real estate salesman and ask yourself, what can I do to add value to this room? or this house, or this business. Look for ideas to make things worth more. Anything, whether it's a vacant lot or a new house or a business, has value in proportion to the ideas for using it. And practice adding value to people. As you move higher and higher in the world of success, more and more of your job will become people development. So ask, what can I do to add value to my subordinates? How can I help them be more effective? Remember, to bring out the best in a person, you must first visualize their best. And finally, practice adding value to yourself. Conduct a daily interview with yourself and ask, what can I do to make myself more valuable today? Visualize yourself not as you are, but as you can be. Then, specific ways for attaining your potential value will begin to suggest themselves.
There is no such thing as a perfectly smooth, trouble-free road to success. You can be sure there are plenty of bumps on everyone's path to fulfillment. Nothing worthwhile comes easily, but there is something that you can do that will help to at least smooth out some of these minor bumps, and I can sum it up for you in one short sentence. Don't concern yourself with trivia. Now that sounds simple, but the fact is that it's often much easier to get caught up in trivia than to avoid it, simply because of our habits. For example, ask yourself this question: why do people quarrel? At least 90% of our quarrels are over trivial concerns. Somebody's late, or somebody forgot to buy something at the store, or somebody bought the wrong brand. Now, to become a big thinker, you need to eliminate as many of these bumps and potholes from your personal road to success as you can. So the next time a trivial matter comes up, ask yourself, is this really important? Does it really matter which route I take to the airport? Does it really matter if someone forgets to put the cap on the toothpaste? Is it really important that your spouse invited someone to the party you don't like or squandered a little bit too much money? When you fix your mental gaze on the big picture and remember the goal that you're working toward, success, fulfillment, and happiness, you'll find that many of these potential quarrels simply aren't important enough to warrant an argument. Just asking that question, is it really important, works wonders at the office too. It works in the traffic going home when the driver tries to cut you off. It works when you might get the smallest office in the renovation plan. It works when you overlook the small, annoying habits of your fellow workers. And it works when you're solving problems, or counseling employees, or making decisions about your career. Just don't get caught up in trivia.
So they took the crown off this woman's head and put it on the other woman. This is horrible for this young girl. So I'm in the back. I go to the press conference. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's over with. I go to sleep about 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't sleep. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting up to leave Las Vegas to go home. I go outside. Reporters are everywhere. I get on the plane. Reporters are everywhere. I land in Atlanta. Reporters are everywhere. How could you? You're the stupidest person. This is the biggest mistake ever. I could do nothing. I could not leave my house for days. People were driving by my house tying notes on rocks and throwing it over the gate with names on it. It was horrible. Within 48 hours, my name, Steve Harvey, had been Googled 4 billion times. 4 billion times in 48 hours. I was the most famous person on planet Earth in 48 hours. God had increased my global brand and persona. I did not appreciate the way he did it, but I was the most famous person in the world for 48 hours. That was a big fall. That was a fault. They wrote about me in the papers. His career is over. He's ruined. He will never recover from this. He is not going to be on TV anymore. How could you? They wrote that all about me. But they did not know that the God I serve is in control of my life. Not them. Not the media. None of them. It is God. And so he had a different plan for me, because I had gotten up so many times before, because I had fallen. I was homeless for years and lived in a car. He got me up. I lost my mother. He picked me up. I lost my father 3 years later. He picked me up. My big brother died. He pick me up. He kept picking me up. I am so used to getting up, to getting back up. Every time I get knocked down, I keep getting back up over and over and over again. So let me show you something about you. Let me teach you something now. All of you in here have had some bad days. All of you in here have had some days where you felt like you wasn't gonna make it. All of you in here have had some crushing things happen to you and you did not see no way you was gonna make it. All of you in here have felt so badly sometimes you did not know what to do. But let me tell you something about you. Your track record for surviving bad days is 100%.
Hi, welcome back to Mind Control, where we inspire and motivate you. Hope you enjoy the video.
It would not have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. Say, well, I got this lousy philosophy, and that's how come I got pennies in my pocket and nothing in the bank, things aren't working well. That would not have occurred to me. I found it much easier to blame the government, much easier to blame the tax problem. I used to say taxes are too high. See, but you can't use that anymore. I threw all that old excuse stuff away. I used to blame the traffic, the weather, used to blame circumstances, right? People say I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too old. I was raised in obscurity, raised on a farm, parents of modest means, all the stuff. If you were to ask me, how come you find yourself here, Mr. Rohn, age 25, living in America, land of abundance and opportunity, pennies, zero in the bank, not doing well, creditors calling, it would not have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. I found it easier to blame the company policy. I used to say, if this is all they pay, how do they expect you to do well? So I figured that, my future was going to be tied to what everybody else was arranging, the economy and, interest rates. I used to say things cost too much. That was my whole explanation, not my philosophy, until my teacher taught me better that this is where the problem was, my own personal philosophy. Here's what's exciting about each person's personal philosophy. That's what makes us different than dogs and animals and birds and cats and spiders and alligators. That's what makes us different than all of the life forms. The ability to think, the ability to use your mind, the ability to process ideas, and not just operate by instinct. In the winter, I'm telling you, the goose can only fly south. What if south doesn't look too good? Tough luck. It can only fly south. But see, human beings are not like a goose, can only fly south. I mean, you can turn around, go north, you can go east, you can go west, you can order the entire process of your own life. And we do that by the way we think. We do that by exercising our mind. We do that by processing ideas and come up with a better philosophy, a better strategy for our life, goals for the future, plans to achieve those goals. All this comes from developing our philosophy. Philosophy helps us to process what's available. Well, when we get here, we got seed and we got soil and we got some rain and we've got some what? Sunshine, and we've got some seasons, and what? The miracle of life. Now, the key is, what do you do with all this stuff? How do you turn all this stuff that's available here into equity, and promise, and lifestyle, and dreams, and future possibilities? All of this that's possible now with human beings, how do you take all this stuff and turn it into this equities and values? Well, it starts with philosophy. What is the seed? What is the soil? What is the sunshine? What is the rain? Is it possible to take some of each of all the stuff that's available and turn it into food, and turn it into value, and turn it into nourishment, turn it into something spectacular and unique that no other life form can do? And the answer is yes. But you cannot deal with all this stuff and what to do with it unless you start refining your philosophy. Think, use your mind, come up with ideas, and strengthen your philosophy. So the seed and the soil and the rain and the sunshine, this is called, the economy and the banks and the money and the schools and everything that's available out there, processing information, what to do with all that, and turn it into equity and value. That is the major challenge of life, my personal opinion. So each person's personal philosophy now is going to determine what you're going to do with seed and soil and sunshine and rain and miracle, the change of seasons. That's it. My personal opinion. Each person's personal philosophy is like the set of the sail. That's what this seminar is for today. Help you to trim a better sail. You don't need a better economy. You don't need better seed and soil. In fact, when it comes to seed and soil and rain and sunshine and seasons and the miracle of life, that's all you got. Now, what if you blame this stuff? Then you're blaming all you got. If you blame the economy, and you blame the schools, and you blame the teachers, and you blame the sermons and the preachers, and you blame, the marketplace, and you blame the company and company policy, what else is there? When some people get through with their blame list, there isn't nothing else. That's all there is. And if you blame the only thing you've got to work with, I'm telling you, it's called mistake colossal. In not understanding that that's all you've got to work with. And if this is all you've got to work with, then you don't change the seed, and you don't change the soil, and you don't change the rain, and you don't change the sunshine, you don't change the seasons. Right? God says, I'll take 3 springs, 4 summers, 9 falls, no winters, and no, you can't fool with this stuff. You got to take it like it comes. Then what do you change to make your life work well? You got to start with your philosophy. Now, once I understood this, here's the formula for failure, errors in judgment, being lax about developing your own personal philosophy. I'm telling you, it's called accumulated disaster. It doesn't matter whether it's your health or your bank account. Guy's got an empty bank account, probably has high cholesterol. Why? Over the last 6 years, he never paid attention to either one. And it doesn't matter whether it's a dollar, or whether it's your money, or whether it's your cholesterol count. All you got to do is commit the errors, and just because disaster doesn't fall on you at the end of the first day that you don't eat an apple. You say, well, I didn't eat an apple today, and tonight I'm not ill. Well, you got to be brighter than that. Someday you got to leave first grade. Now let me give you the secret to success. Formula for failure: a few errors in judgment repeated every day for 1 month starts the weakness, starts the disaster process. You can imagine what happens in 6 years. Now here's the formula for success. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. And you've started a whole new process called a whole new life. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. And if you decide today to go for the apple instead of the Hershey bar, I'm telling you, you have begun the process of turning your life around. And if you keep up that process, not only with your health habits, but with your money habits and with your communication habits, with your sales habits and management habits and every other habit that you've got, if you'll start that process, eliminate the errors and replace it with disciplines practiced, I'm telling you, you can start this process of life change immediately. After today, you don't ever have to be the same again. Only by choice. You don't have to walk out of here the same as you walked in today. Only by choice. You can start a whole new process. And you say, well, Mr. Owen, is it that simple? Yes, it's that simple. Where else would you start but with an apple? You don't have to start with something staggering. What if you should be walking around the block for your good health and you don't? What'll that do in 6 years? I'm telling you, the word is disaster. You could and you should and you don't. Here's an even stronger word. You won't. I mean, don't might mean you're careless. Won't probably means you're stubborn. And either one's called disaster. Could, should, don't. I'm telling you, that's why at the end of 6 years, I found myself with pennies in my pocket, nothing in the bank, creditors calling. Could, should, won't. Could, should, don't is called disaster. Now, how do you change all that? The next 6 years, I got rich. The next 6 years, I became a millionaire. By the time I'm 31, I'm a millionaire. How about that? You say, well, Mr. Rohn, what happened? Well, strangely enough, during that second 6 years of my economic life, the government was about the same. I'm telling you, taxes were about the same. My negative relatives were the same. I'm telling you, the economy was about the same, and prices were about the same, and everything else was about the same. Circumstances were about the same. Then how come I got rich? How come I totally changed my life? I was not the same. Somebody says, well, what did you go to work on to do all that? I started with my philosophy. I started amending my errors by doing some better thinking, changing my mind, coming up with ideas that I didn't have before I met my teacher. And once that whole process started for me, I'm telling you, I changed my whole life. Within a 6-year period, I was never the same.
We'd like to thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.
Where you guys are, everybody gonna be trying to give 100. So you gotta go 120, right? When I tell you motivation is life, when I tell you that I need you the next 100 days, I need you to stay plugged in, right? Because the days you're not plugged in are the days you don't get 120. They say an alligator is so ferocious it'll kill a lion. But I can kill an alligator with my bare hands. Little old E.T., how? They say when you want to kill an alligator, you kill it right after it eats. Because right after it eats, it gets satisfied. And it goes to a state like it's almost paralyzed. Some of y'all in this room, are you paralyzed? You had a little success? You done when nobody else in your family is done and now you chilling? Come on, you ain't hungry no more? Next 100, I need you to stay focused. Why? You should still be hungry. What have you eaten that's got you satisfied? What have you done? What have you accomplished that got you so full? I'm a contender, but the next 100 gonna change my life. It's gonna change this world. We're ordinary people doing extraordinary things. If that's you and you're feeling me, just say, I can. Come on, I can. I can. Come on, one time. Yep, I will. Yep, I must. All right, come on. I want to put some context into it. They sent my mother-in-law home 8 years ago. Cancer, metastasized throughout her whole body. They're like, it ain't nothing we can do for you. Go home, spend time with your family. And people was like, yep, that's it for her. She said, it's not it for me. They said, what do you mean it's not over for you? The doctor says she don't care nothing about a doctor. I gotta see my grandson graduate from high school. He's a junior now at Michigan State University. He said, I gotta see my granddaughter graduate, my only 2 grandkids. I gotta see my granddaughter graduate from high school, and she graduates in June. She said, after that, I might die. But up until then, I ain't going nowhere. You hear what I'm telling you? And what we said to each other is, I can get through this. I will get through this. I must get through this. So I just need you to think about 3 people in your family that you love. 3 people. 3 people that you love. 3 people. You got them? They there? You got them? This is what I need you to do for me. Because some of you have a hard time staying motivated for a straight 100 days. So what I need you to do for me is I need you to think about those people every day when you're doing what you're doing. You have some days when you just want to hit the snooze button, raise your hand for me. You want to hit the snooze button, right? So watch this. This is what has to happen. That person that you think about has to be louder than the snooze button. So when you think about Granny, you gotta think about, do I hit the snooze button or do I get up and make it happen for Granny? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Who are you doing this for? So the days you don't feel like getting up, just think about them. Somebody tell me in this room, when you think about your siblings, when you think about mom and dad and grandma, when you think about your uncle and aunts, when you think about those coaches, those people who've been there for you, just raise your hand if you said, E.T., sleep is better than that. Just raise your hand and tell me, anybody in the room, sleep is better than them, E? Raise your hand, somebody tell me, E.T., you don't get it, you don't know how hard it is, E? I probably don't. I just lived in an abandoned building. Hey, I trash things, I probably don't. Maybe I ain't never been through what you've been through, but I've been through my go-through. And you don't get here by quitting when you're tired. You get here by quitting when you finish, when you're done. You don't stop when you're tired. You stop when you're done. You stop when you complete it, when you execute it. Execution is worship. And so I execute for my mom. I execute for my grandma. I execute for my sister. I execute for those kids in the hood who are looking for a role model. That's why I wear the hat. For the PhD, that's why I wear the J's. So when the kids in the hood look at me, they say, if E.T. can do it, I can do it. That's why I can't quit and give up, even though I get tired just like everybody else. Why? Because this is what I do. This is my lane. This is your lane. You gotta murder it. So when I ask you, you got energy, don't play with me. When I say again, you got that energy for the next 100 days, I need to feel your soul in this room. All right, I can? Come on, I can? Come on, I can? I will. I must. Come on, I can? I will. I must.
Start with all the things you can do to make your life better and make you feel better about yourself. Make a list. Life will give you some pretty big challenges if you can handle the small ones. But unless you practice on the small ones and master those, you don't have a chance for the major ones. A man strides out of his house to go straighten out the corporation, and he has not yet straightened out his garage. Who's kidding who? So work on all the disciplines that will improve the quality of your life. And here's an important thought. Everything affects everything else. Every lack of discipline affects every other discipline. Mistakenly, the man says, "This is the only place I let down." See, that's not true. Every letdown affects the rest of your performance. Now here's the positive side. Every new discipline affects every other discipline. Every new thing you try affects the rest of your performance. Isn't that exciting? So get started on every small discipline you can think of. You can't believe what it will do for your self-confidence. And remember, the greatest deterrent to success is lack of self-confidence. And lack of self-confidence comes from not doing what you could do. Next comes self-motivation. And really, it's the only kind of motivation there is. Self-motivation. I can share my ideas and my experiences, but people have to motivate themselves. Hey, I found out you can't change people. They can change themselves, but you can't change them. In management, we learn good people are found, not changed. If you want good people, you have to find them. That's the best answer I can give you. If you want motivated people, you have to find them, not motivate them. Motivation is a mystery. Why some people are and some are not. Why does one person in sales see his first prospect at 7 in the morning? and the other salesperson sees his first prospect at 11 in the morning? Why would one start at 7 and the other start at 11? I don't know. I call it mysteries of the mind. Why wouldn't everyone strive to be wealthy and happy? I don't know. It's a mystery. So, be self-motivated. Don't give that job away to someone else. The guy says, boy, if someone will just come by and turn me on. Hey, what if he doesn't show up? You've got to have a better plan for your life.
Like, why would I go to the gym if I have a swimming pool at my house? Right? Why you guys bitch all the time? Oh, man, the gym's so far away, man. Oh, dude, put a freaking gym in your house then, okay? It's cold in Toronto. Yeah, man, it's only been like that for the last 200 years, bro. Like, okay, build a pool inside the house. How about some heating? Okay, so what I did was I found a woman that was perfect for me. Okay, rather than me changing who I am to be who she wants me to be, dude, I found somebody that said, and I laid it out for her. First of all, I pursued somebody that had no interest in me. So just because she was perfect for me doesn't mean she had interest in me.
Right.
Okay, the fact that and by the way, I'm running 5 businesses while I'm pursuing this hot chick. Okay, but I knew she was the right one for me. Now, that's a different topic. We could do that a different show on that. Your people will probably love it. But the point is, the fact that she didn't want anything to do with me didn't mean I wasn't the right person for her, number one. Number two, once she got with me, I said, look, I'll give up anything. I'll give up anything to give you. I'll make every dream and more that you've ever had in your life come true. Okay? Here's one thing I will not give you. I will not give up on my dreams. Because if I give up on my dreams, I'll give up on you. If I give up on my dreams, I can't take care of you. Right? So when Jay Wong becomes obsessed with your purposes for being on this planet, you have more than one, by the way, I believe. I think you have many. When the individual becomes obsessed with their purposes, man, then they got to bring people in that benefit from that and create a life, not a job, not a charity. I'm not going to go do a bunch of other things. I'm going to do my life, and everything in the realm of this sphere of this life thing that doesn't have any lines, okay, all is impacted because of it.
I'm telling you, this stuff changed my life, altered the course of my life, from milking cows to sitting on this stool. Incredible. What a journey. I want you to look now at the whole list that you've written and the exercises we've done. Now I want you to answer this question. What kind of person must I become to achieve all I want? What kind of person must I become to achieve all I want? Now we've got two things working. What you become helps you to achieve, and what you achieve helps you to become. And the more you become, the more you can achieve, and the more you achieve, the more you can become. Who knows which affects the other the most? So now just write this exercise. Start with a few sentences. We won't have time for you to, take a lot of time, but just start with a few sentences. Your concept of the person you think you must become to achieve what you want. This is time for a little truth here. Maybe you need to become much wiser than you are at the moment. You need to become stronger. You need to have better health. Maybe you need a little coaching to really become the person I want to become. I'm going to have some coaching. Physical coaching, spiritual coaching, developing skills coaching. To be the influence you want to be, you got to build an incredible reputation. What kind of person must I be to attract all that I want in my life and the people that I want and the opportunities that I want? When you knock on the door and opportunity opens, you must stand there as a very attractive person, or you may not be invited in. I usually take the simple approach to life in trying to figure it out or trying to comprehend it. The guy says, this happens to me, and this happens to me, and all this stuff happens to me. How come it all happens to me? And I say, I don't know. Best I've been able to figure out, those kind of things always happen to people like you. I think the simple approach is the best, or the witty approach. I come along 16 years ago to do some things for Herbalife, and one of my friends says, I heard that some people died using that Herbalife product, and I said, not that many. Here's what I found out. You cannot give a serious answer to a silly comment. You've got to return silly for silly.
I mean, a little wit sometimes helps to just, disarm all the stuff that you don't want to take responsibility for. Lady Astor in the English Parliament was exasperated with Churchill. And she said, Winston Churchill, if you were my husband, I would put poison in your coffee. And Winston said, Lady Astor, if you were my wife, I would drink it. A few simple ideas can be so life-changing, whether it's economic or health. My mama said, you don't have to radically change. She recommended an apple a day. And I said, well, can I have some candy? She said, yes, if you have the candy and the apple, but not the candy as the substitute for the apple. See, that made sense to me. Okay, I can have candy if I've made sure I've had the apple, but not as the substitute for the apple. And she said it in such a simple way, I got it. Shof, my mentor in business, had the same unique style. When I said, hey, things cost too much, he said, no, you can't afford them. I thought that's the new way to look at it. And he showed me these alternate ways to look at something. He said, how come you're not doing well? I showed him my paycheck. I said, this is all the company pays. He said, well, that's not true. I said, no, this is my check. He says, no, Mr. Rohn, this is all that the company pays you. This is not all that the company pays. Just in 2 or 3 sentences opened up a whole new world of consciousness to think about. He says, doesn't some people in the same company earn 4 or 5 times this amount that you're getting? I said, well, yes. He said, well, then this is not all that the company pays. And if you were 4 or 5 times more valuable than you are now, do you think this would multiply by 4 or 5? And I said, yes, I guess it would. He said, why don't we go to work on that? So you don't have to work on the company to pay you more money. You only have to work on yourself to become more valuable. Simple ways of saying things so simply. It doesn't have to be radical. The key is just to start. If you start making 3 presentations a day in a year, it's 1,000. The 1,000 seems like too many to do, but starting is easy. Then continuing and not yielding to the temptation to be careless and let it slide and go back to old habits. Just put it in your pocket. And then when you get home, you put it in the trash. And somebody says, well, what difference does that make? The little cellophane on the toothpick. Here's what makes the difference, the habit. And the habit makes the difference primarily for you. Now, yes, it makes a contribution, and a little small contribution by not leaving trash. But here's what it does mostly. Give you the incredible feeling of self-worth because you have good habits. That's the deal. The habit of turning out the lights when you're finished with your hotel room. You leave the hotel room, turn out the lights. It just makes a small contribution, but what if everybody did it? I'm telling you, the energy requirements would be less. You say, well, the hotel gets the benefit. Hey, it doesn't matter to you who gets the benefit. Guess what's the greatest benefit? Being a person of unique habits. Habits that not only make you perform as far as skills are concerned, but habits that make you feel good about yourself. And then sometimes we get the question, why do it? And I got the best answer to that. Why not do it? If it's so easy to do, why not do all the easy things that make a contribution? And who knows what the total contribution could be if we all did it. But even if everybody doesn't, if you do it, and if I do it, it just makes us better human beings. It makes us feel better about ourselves. And if I know you do it, it makes me feel better about you. And if you know I do it, I think it makes you feel better about me. Say, wow, this man was taught some good things when he was growing up. Some countries of the world show unique respect. When I go to Mexico, I love to go to Mexico because they don't just say, hello, Jim Rohn. They say, hello, Mr. Jim Rohn. When they introduce me, they say, this is Mr. Jim Rohn. They don't say, this is Jim Rohn. It's just part of the custom. This is Mr. Jim Rohn. When I first came to the South, I remember just as a kid, and they said, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. I mean, where I was raised, we really didn't do that. But I think the more the South did it, the more it caught on, and now I'm beginning to hear that in a lot more places than just the South. Yes, ma'am, yes, sir. Things we can all learn. Helps make our lives better, helps make the world better, helps make people feel good about themselves, feel good about us. Incredible. So the environment, whatever little thing you can think of that gives you pride and joy in doing to make the contribution. As small as it may seem, you make it for what it does to the environment, for the people. But here's the biggest reason for what it does for you. I want to be the best I can possibly be at delivering the message of good words. So we keep working on our skills to be the best we possibly can.
When God told Moses to hold up the rod and the waters would part, I can imagine he was tempted to reason it out. God, what do you mean? These waters have been like this for years. You would think if the Israelites were going to somehow get across, it would take months for the waters to recede, become less and less. Maybe God would send a big drought. But when God spoke to Moses, nothing looked any different. Everything in his mind said it's impossible. It would take months or years of a drought. God, we only have a few hours before we're going to be recaptured. But God doesn't always do things on a normal timetable. He specializes in doing a quick work. He knows how to speed things up. What could have taken years, in one moment, God caused the winds to blow the waters back. They hurried out of the Israelites' way. Now, you may have obstacles in your life that look permanent, but God is about to have them hurry out of your way. It's not going to happen gradually on a normal schedule like you were expecting. It's going to happen quickly, out of the ordinary. Things that you've been struggling with, fear, anxiety, a challenge in your health, that child that's off course. When you look at the waters, nothing looks any different. You know God is telling you a breakthrough is coming, but you don't see any sign of it. You want to believe, but your mind is telling you there's no way. But just like those waters hurried out of the Israelites' way, those obstacles are about to hurry out of your way. Now, you may have had that illness a long time. The prognosis doesn't look good. Receive this into your spirit. It's about to hurry out of your way. That legal trouble looks permanent. That financial difficulty, that situation at work seems like there's no end in sight. Now get ready. God's about to do a quick work. Lack, struggle, debt is about to hurry out of your way. It's going to happen suddenly. It's going to be a rapid turnaround. That's what happened for us here at Lakewood. When we acquired the Compact Center, a company filed a lawsuit to try to keep us from moving in. They said we violated the deed restrictions. Our attorneys told us it could be tied up in the courts for years. When we looked at the waters, like with Moses, nothing looked any different. A year had gone by, the other side wasn't about to budge. They had no contact with us. Looked like it could be that way for another 10 years. But one day, out of the blue, the other side called and said they wanted to meet. Our attorney said it was probably a ploy, just trying to distract us. We met with them, and in a couple of hours, they agreed to drop the lawsuit and let us have the building. When it's your time, God knows how to have enemies hurry out of your way.